Some men live a simple life, while others have a fire that threatens to engulf the world.
Bonjour, and welcome to the first episode of our new series, Life as a Legere. And what better way to start off this series than looking at the uniform of the common soldier during the Napoleonic Wars, at least for our unit as a whole. And as you can see from everything that's in front of me, we have a lot to go over.
Okay, just to make this easier, we're just going to start from here and work our way down and explain all the pieces of the uniform itself. We're just going to give them a brief summarization for the time being, as when we'll go back in later videos and discuss them in a bit more detail. So oddly enough, we're going to start with the headgear, which is you would issue two pieces of headgear. One is your shako. This one is the 1810 design of the French Army, dating 1810. And you would have your fatigue cap, the bonnet de police, which would be the official fatigue cap for the French Army until 1812, when the Poquelin came around during the Barden Regulations of 1812 to 1815. We will discuss both of these and how they would be worn in various ways in a later video. Underneath the headgear, we actually have our habit vest, which is the main jacket itself. And this is the earlier impression, and you could tell from that, since the coat itself actually parts in the center and goes in the back, to where we actually have, if I can get this to look right, you actually have two turn back symbols with yellow horns. Now, as Voltigeurs, there are a lot of indications on what the uniform displayed if you were a Voltigeur in the light infantry regiment. This also varied for line infantry as well, but we will discuss that in a later video. So, good indicators of Voltigeurs in a light regiment would be the horned yellow turnbacks in the back of the coat, as well as the yellow cuffs, or yellow collar, my mistake, for the collar of the coat, and the red piping, and as well as green and yellow epaulets for the shoulders. Now for this one, for this coat or this uniform itself, this was made for a corporal, so you would have your corporal stripes down here, with just two white bands with red backing in the back. As you progressed into sergeants, then this would become a single band, but silver instead of white. And all the buttons for light regiments are actually pewter, and if we're able to zoom in there on the camera, they are actually regimentals with the horn and the regimental 6 in the middle of the horn itself. Sometimes the soldiers would actually have the brush and the pick for their musket pinned onto their coat as well. I've seen a few variations here and there on various drawings and paintings, so I decided to put that on my uniform as well. And underneath the habit vest would be the gilet, which would be, in other words, the waistcoat. In other words, it's pretty much just to cover this part of the soldier in front of him, just so that way your shirt, or technically the underwear of the time period, was not exposed to the public, since you were considered naked at that time. The basic vest would have pockets on either side, as well as regimental buttons. Same with the horn and the 6 as well. Then, in terms of for footgear, you would have either strap shoes like what I have, or you would have buckle shoes if you were able to afford it, or the lower part this part of the shoe would be lowered down, and you would still have the tie in the middle. I've seen variations of both buckles and the strings for the shoes, so there's a wide variety there. You would have your socks, pretty self-explanatory there. And you would have your neck stock, which would be wrapped around the collar on top of your shirt when you would wear that. And as well, you would have your gaiters as well. Now, research for the gaiters was a bit interesting for Legeres. Instead of wearing knee breeches like other regiments would if they had over-the-knee gaiters, since these ones are below the knees, these gaiters were actually worn over the trousers themselves. And I have to thank the gentlemen over at the 5th Regiment of Chasseurs à Pied on Facebook, since they showed a picture of their gaiters with their trousers, and they actually had a button sewed on to their trousers. And if we look closely at the gaiters here, if I'm able to find the hole, the buttonhole is on both sides here, and that's where you would keep the gaiters from falling down. And gaiters for the soldiers was mainly just to keep rocks, pebbles, and dirt out of your shoes, because if you're marching 25 miles a day, that'll get annoying very quick and sometimes even painful brutally. Now the trousers themselves, as we have as it's underneath our regular early 19th century shirt here, were basically the button flap down trousers, or the pantalon de tôle, which would be worn as the proper legging with the drawers underneath. And then underneath all this, we have our capote, which would be the greatcoat. Now this, I've seen variations as well, with the buttons being either the wooden ones like here, or wooden ones with the wool fabric on top of it. Now, the reason I went with the buttons is so I gave it a bit more of a campaigner look and look like it's been used for quite a while. Now, with being a elite company as well, we also have the shoulder straps for the epaulets from the Habib vest that would be attached on here should we be wearing the capote instead of the Habib vest. And like before, this has the corporal stripes, same with the Habib vest down there, sewn onto the sides of the greatcoat as well. One little feature that was interesting for this coat, or for the greatcoats in general, that there were buttonholes. Well, this one didn't come with them, I had to do it myself. Buttonholes at the back, so that way you would actually button these to the back of the coat, if I'm able to, without having everything fall over. You would have these buttons in the back, and they would attach like so, with pockets in the back here, if I'm able to find it, for the soldier. And in terms of for basic uniform equipment, this is what every soldier would have in Napoleon's Grande Armée.
So there we have it, all the pieces of clothing of the uniform worn by the light infantry of the Napoleonic Wars. So come back for part 2, where we put all this on and try to be presentable to Napoleon himself. And until the next one, mon amis, vive l'empereur!